Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 11, the big 1-1 Snow Day Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Barrett, along with my co-host, Max Slinden. Max, how we doing today?
We're doing great. We're feeling training camp. I got to spend the weekend at Drake training camp. I mean, that was fun. It's good to see everybody. Good to see pads popping. We had our first day of full pads today. And Dalton, you're on a hot streak. Two episodes in a row. You got the episode number right.
That just means I'm getting, it's almost football season. I'm pumped up, man. One of my favorite times of the year. My first fall in a very long time where I'm not having a fall camp or training camp or anything. Mentally, I'm a little, I don't know, but physically, my body feels good finally. But getting to be one of the best times of the year. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, we've already had our first NFL game of the year. We've had the Hall of Fame game. Every other team starts their preseason this weekend, so we're getting close. Like
Mhm.
we have a football game in a couple weeks, like an actual that will actually count towards the record, and we start in Dublin here very soon.
hmm Yeah, college football. Man, forgot the early game this year over in Ireland. That's exciting. It's gonna be a good one too.
I mean, Iowa State had their first 10-win season ever, and like they're still a really good team. They still have Rocco Becht at the helm. Like they'll be a very exciting team to watch, and I always like the Dublin game, and this is a very potentially the best matchup they've had over there.
I would agree. Not only am I excited because football is back, but when you throw in the stakes with this game, I mean, early in the season, it's kind of hard to tell how everything's going to pan out. But hey, we got two really good football teams going at it. I'm pumped up, especially because Iowa State's not too far from us, anyways. You in particularly, and a lot of kids that we kind of watched in high school growing up and getting to play in that game. So speaking of one, Carson Hansen, Lakeville's South kid actually. I got to talk with his AD earlier this spring, and sounds like he's just the nicest kid on the planet. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get to tear it up.
Hopefully, both teams don't completely collapse like Florida State did last year after playing in Dublin. That was kind of the beginning of the end there for Florida State in their season. They had a very rough go of it, and hopefully both teams do better than that this year.
Yeah, I would agree. Watching out of football here, so it's still baseball season. A lot has unfortunately happened for the Twins. We wish we could say that the poll ads sold the team. Unfortunately, they didn't. They did it a lot worse, unfortunately. They're trading away about the entire team. Max launched me into this. This has been ridiculous.
They sold pretty much everything but the actual team itself, and it's kind of the one thing everybody wanted to see gone was them as owners. And I think this is the tipping point for a lot of fans. Trade deadline came Thursday, and Twins ended up trading 10 players last week. And for a 26-man roster, 10 players are quite a lot. I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 trades made last week with 7 teams. The Phillies double dipped with us. They sold probably a lot more than they even needed to, I thought. Like Willie Castro, Harrison Bader, Ty France. I completely understand. They were not going to be here next year. Get assets for them while you still can, but
Jaron Duran, though, really? They're gonna.
that's my point. Like, do you have to dismantle the entire bullpen?
He's a freaking young. I mean, he's arguably the best closer in baseball right now. Best closer the Twins have had since I'm gonna say Joe Nathan. I mean, Glenn Perkins was a stud, but I feel like Duran's better than Joe or Glenn Perkins, and everybody knew when he came into the game, he meant business, and that was the tip of the iceberg for me.
Yeah, I can even justify Carlos Correa's trade. Like he was not producing at the level of that contract, and you get a lot of relief there, especially for small market teams. You need relief. We saw it when Joe Mauer couldn't live up to his high value contract. But you can't trade Duran, Jax, Colomé, and Varland out of the same bullpen. Like you just can't rebuild that. Like there's no way your magic beans are going to turn into that. And that's all you get with prospects is magic beans. What if one of them turns into Jarrett Duran? You already have Duran. And like Louis Varland's under team control till 2030.
Right.
It's like he definitely could have helped with the rebuild. Like Colomé, I kind of understand. He probably wasn't here for the long term, but Duran's here till 2027. Jax has multiple years, and like I don't understand the complete blow up of this team.
Yeah. You would have thought, if you were looking to sell the team, you'd want to, keep them, like they were, a contending team that just had a bad season that is going to be tougher than nails next year. Now you just freaking drop the value of the team a whole lot. I mean, 2 years ago, we were talking about World Series. We were legit talking about going to the freaking World Series 2 years ago. Now well, we ain't going to finish last in the division because there's the White Sox, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, and like the high Minnesota felt winning the first series of our lifetime, and I can go out in the bar and have a cold brew. They just won while I was in college, their first series, and the high of that, and like the young core of that, and how excited Minnesota fans are, and you completely collapsed last year. Then you just completely blow it up next year. And like this isn't and you've probably blown it up for next year too. And the year after. Like, and it's so disappointing as a Minnesota fan and like Twins fan. And I think there's a difference between punting on the year and just selling off all assets. And I feel like they did the
And
latter.
I don't know anybody in their right mind right now that would be interested in buying the Twins, to be completely honest. I mean, you're not a contender for the next 3 years. You're not even close in the next 3 years. Like, I don't know.
All I gotta say is thank God Byron Buxton had a no trade clause. Because he definitely would have been out the door.
He would have been one of the first ones gone.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, we're lucky Joe Ryan isn't on that list.
Uh-huh. And like Carlos Correa waived his no trade clause because he realized how bad things were getting here. So I'll be honest, I don't mind that trade. I don't mind that trade one bit.
No, I think in the grand scheme of it, of the 10, like it's definitely not the worst. I'm like, one I'm the most unsatisfied with was the Louis Varland one.
Minnesota kid.
Like, there is absolutely zero reason to trade him. Like, unless you think he's unsustainable at that peak, you don't trade him. And I think another thing that bothers me is that I feel like the Twins could have gotten more for their guys. Like, they have zero of an organization's top three prospects.
Mhm.
They got zero. You trade a Duran. You trade these high-end bullpen guys. You gotta at least get a like high prospect. Now, granted, Duran got two top 100 MLB prospects.
There's no guarantee those are going to turn out though. But like, I was listening to the radio the other day. Those are truly just rankings on what people think. I've seen top 100 prospects that are batting 150 in the minor leagues and that don't ever turn out to be anything.
I remember when being in middle school, the Twins having one and two prospects in baseball. Now one did turn out in Byron Buxton.
But Miguel Sano,
But
like,
then you have Miguel Sano, who I don't know where he went to continue his baseball career. And like, he wasn't a great player in the majors, and he wasn't this highly touted prospect in the majors. Like, he could hit for power, but that was about it.
yeah, I remember guys like Tyler J too. He came out of college, he was this Big Ten pitcher of the year, for Illinois, was dominant. They're saying, oh, he'll be in the big leagues in 2 years. I don't think he ever made about a high A.
No, I mean, and sometimes it sucks getting the wrong prospect. Like, prospects in baseball have the one of the lowest upside rates. Like, you frequently don't see them playing ever for major league teams. And I think you almost have to take more of them on just to see the success of potentially hitting on one.
Yeah. You just pulled up the draft from that season, MLB draft, and Andrew Benintendi was picked after him, followed by Carson Fulmer, two guys that have made a great career in the MLB.
Yeah, I mean, even Ian Happ at pick 9 would have been a good one. He's been a
Josh Naylor at
contributor.
12 there.
Josh Naylor has been a thorn in our side for the Guardians. Like, these guys have had good careers, and you got a guy who did nothing for the Twins.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks even worse when he's sandwiched in between Kyle Tucker too.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Like,
And then, not to mention Ian Happ's right there. I think you probably just said that. I mean, these are all stars that he's sitting in between and guys that had a very quality major league career, and we'd take the worst one out of the bunch. I get, that's how it kind of goes. I mean, we've had luck in the draft with Joe Mauer, but think about it, that was 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago.
he's already in the Hall of Fame. Like, he's had a
Right.
Hall of Fame career, been inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's how long ago it was.
Mhm.
I don't know. Hopefully these guys turn out because you want these guys to do well, and it sucks because we know why it was done this way, and it's just hard to just see a team that's like, yeah, we don't want to win now or really
Well,
in the next couple of years. Like,
yeah, the last 2 years it's always been, man, this season we're gonna this season's the season. things are going to finally be, turned around, especially after 2 years ago. Like last year, we kind of flopped at the end of the season, took us out of it. But, coming into the year, the expectation was, all right, we're a playoff team. We're going to be a contender. Now we're trading half our roster because, why not?
Yeah, I think it's those really good teams. What do they all have? Really good bullpens.
hmm We just traded three, four really good bullpen arms.
I just don't understand like it and why it's everybody had to go. And I think Griffin Jacks saw the writing on the wall. I think it's been reported he requested his trade.
Right.
Why do you got to alienate Griffin Jacks to that point? Like you could keep Duran Duran, you can keep Louis Varland, you can keep a Griffin Jacks, maybe trade a Colomé, maybe trade Willie Castro, like trade a Harrison Bader. They're not going to help you next year. And
Right.
we don't need their help this year. We're beyond that point. I think it's keeping guys under contract who are also under contract next year, and I just don't get that.
Yeah, the other night when Duran made his home appearance at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia there, when I turned the lights off, I saw that video. It about brought me to tears. I couldn't even watch it.
No,
Well, then he comes out and throws the hardest pitch in all of Major League Baseball that game this season, and it's like, God.
we had that, and I remember talking in June, like, oh man, how good the attendance is like how high everybody was, especially after the winning streak. The weather was nice, like everything worked out, and fan morale just plummeted. I think this is definitely the lowest it's been in my lifetime.
I would 100% agree.
And like deservedly so. It's the Twins don't have anybody to blame but
You
themselves,
know,
and Pohlads can get out of there soon.
yeah, the last few years, I've always thought, things were looking up. We ended up purchasing the St. Paul Saints. You got a AAA team right down the road. That's going to help with attendance a lot. Having that team right in the state. Minor league teams were doing well. Well, I don't know if we have a minor league team with a winning record right now.
Yeah, I mean it does help that we just created another one,
Right.
and that's kind of diluting our product, but still, yeah, it's like just know things you can support and have fun, and like look at our friends across the river in Wisconsin. They root if you're rooting for the Brewers, you're having a whale of a time. They're one of the best teams in the National League and have a real shot of going deep into the postseason. And
Mm.
we're just gonna watch from afar. Just sad. Well, at least the Twins don't have to worry about making October plant.
Yeah, at least we can worry about football then.
Speaking of which, the Vikings starting their training camp. You've seen a lot of clips out of there, and they play an actual game Thursday, Saturday.
3 p.m. taking on the Texans. Preseason still, but hey, JJ McCarthy's playing.
And I like that. Obviously, he's not going to play the whole game or anything, but I think, especially coming out of last year when he hurt his meniscus in that preseason game, I think you got to build confidence in an actual game. Like, even if it doesn't count,
Mm.
like, you still got to build the confidence of having a crowd around him, playing against a defense against him, not wearing the same colors as your guys, not wearing that red jersey, getting hit by the defense. Like, I don't want to see too much out of him, but I want to see something out of him.
Yeah, I'd love to see, a quarter, maybe a couple drives, get a chance to see him kind of, obviously take a hit because that's just going to happen. But, let it loose a little bit. Let him spin it a little bit and throw the ball around.
Yeah, I think I just want to see some confidence out of JJ. I don't really care if he maybe forces it a little too much. Like, I want to see confidence out of him. I don't want him to be timid. I'd rather say whoa than giddy up.
Hmm
We're not going to see the best of Kevin O'Connell, obviously, but
Right.
and we're not going to see the best out of that D'Amico Ryan's defense either. So it's hopefully you
Mhm.
can see it pretty well and have confidence in where he's throwing the football.
Yeah, so speaking of quarterback, this past offseason, the Vikings ended up making a trade during the draft and ended up acquiring Sam Howell. Doesn't sound like he's lighting the world on fire by any means as of right now. And there's rumors that Minnesota Golden Gopher undrafted rookie Max Brosmer is very much in the contention for QB2 right now. No offense to Max. I loved him as a Gopher quarterback. It's just I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. And I think the Vikings will be carrying three quarterbacks majority of this season. JJ probably Howell's going to be one of them, and Brosmer here. It'll be interesting to see. Is Brosmer ready to be QB2? I don't know. Sounds like he's been playing better than Howell. He's been taking a lot of reps with the twos. I mean, that's to be determined. We'll find out a lot on Saturday here after JJ gets his reps.
Yeah, for sure. It speaks to the benefit of running a pro style offense at the Gophers last year. I think it allowed him to be put in a better spot this year. Sam Howell on the Kevin O'Connell quarterback rehabilitation program. It doesn't sound like it's going that well for him.
Mm,
Now it's maybe different for JJ not having a Sam Darnold in that room. Like Sam Howell can only do so much. Like he's still young. This is only his third season in the league. It's not like he has a Joe Flacco and Alex Smith, one of
mm,
those guys to show how to be an NFL quarterback. Now, granted, it's his second year and he had Sam Darnold last year, so
mm. He also has Josh McCown as his quarterback coach, so that should definitely help.
right, exactly. I mean, hopefully we don't have to find out who the backup is or the third string is when it comes time for games to actually matter.
Mhm.
I want to see JJ out there for all the meaningful reps.
Wide receiver two has been coming up in conversation right now. Obviously, Jordan Addison will be out 3 games to start the season just due to some off the field troubles with getting a DUI and everything. So that's kind of opening up right now. And Jalen Nailor's in the mix. I haven't really looked a whole lot into it, but that would be an exciting name to see. Potentially get more reps here. And
I think the Vikings kind of lucked out with it only being 3 games.
Mhm.
And I think it's not the worst thing ever because it allows the Vikings just to have more rapport with more guys.
Mhm.
Jordan Addison can be at training camp right now. Like he's still developing with JJ McCarthy. He just won't be in the building for those 3 weeks.
Mhm.
Now will be who will step up when those games matter will be the determining factor. And I think I'm excited to see who's willing to step up.
Yeah, from what I've been hearing is Addison and JJ McCarthy have really been had a lot of chemistry, which sucks. We're going to have to wait to see what happens with him. Weeks, but sounds like those two have been playing really well together. This is just another opportunity for someone like Rondale Moore to make a name. Ty Felton, the rookie this year out of Maryland, and I compare a lot to Stephon Diggs, to be completely honest. He was a highly rated recruit coming out of high school, went to Maryland. Obviously, he didn't get recognized a whole lot in college just because Maryland, let's be honest, they had a bad team, but he was a playmaker there. I'm looking forward to seeing him get his opportunity. That kind of reminded me of Diggs in a way. I mean, obviously because they're both Maryland guys. Yeah, a bit smaller as a prospect, but he's a playmaker. Yeah, so I'm
Small,
looking.
fast guys, I think is something the Vikings need.
Mhm.
Yeah, like those burners. Like Jefferson's an elite route runner, great hands. Not really a burner though.
Mhm.
Addison kind of in that same mold. So it'll be interesting if you have the more skillful guys like a Rondale Moore, like a Ty Felton, can incorporate more into that offense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing JJ and maybe Ty Felton making a few connections on Saturday. And we might even see more Felton throughout the rest of the game with the backup quarterback to see what he can do more. I've been big on Rondale Moore this entire offseason, so I'm looking to see what he can do with this Vikings offense. I mean, we obviously know what he did in college, but college and pros are very clearly different. I'm excited to see him play as well.
Yeah, I think the Vikings are going to be in a good spot for that opener against the Bears come
Mhm.
September. And it's just a good opportunity now to build up to that and beyond.
And I'm going to correct you there. It is at Chicago. The Vikings always seem to struggle at Soldier Field. Definitely a not an ideal first start for JJ McCarthy in the National Football League.
In front of the bright lights, in front of everybody, that opening Monday night game. So it's going to be a fun one. It's hopefully the Vikings can rise to that occasion when the time comes.
Yeah, you got anything on the defensive side of the ball here? Ivan Pace is, I mean, him and Blake Cashman are going to be the staples of that defense again. I mean, we really found a good one in Ivan Pace, I think, undrafted, since out of Cincinnati, really played well. He needs to keep that progress up. And obviously, Josh Metellus.
The Vikings defense will be in good hands. Like obviously, I'm a little fearful of that secondary,
Mhm.
but we have one of the best front sevens in football, in my humble opinion.
And we got to get Brian Flores calling the shots too on defense. So,
Guys who are familiar with that system, guys who can get after the passer. So hopefully they can get to it before they can expose our secondary.
and moving right along from NFL here, should we go across town to the University of Minnesota and talk a little Golden Gopher football?
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite NFL training camps, not as public
Publicized.
exactly, but they just had an open practice at TCF Bank, and you've seen a few clips. I mean, Coy's rocking the multicolored jersey.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, He might be the best athlete in the state of Minnesota right now.
I I would 100%
Yeah,
agree. We could have told you that when he was a sophomore in high school. He's different.
yeah, for sure. It's good for PJ to allow him to do all those things and it sounds like he wants to do it and like wants to be there, wants to be Travis Hunter basically. It's not like he'll be some gimmick guy on the offense. Hopefully he can factor in a lot of different ways.
There was a clip that came up from that open practice at TCF Bank the other night of redshirt freshman Drake Lindsay launching about a 70-yard bomb to Coy for a big gain. From what I'm hearing from a lot of the guys at the Big Ten Network and everything is Lindsay throws a very good deep ball, which that's something the Gophers haven't had in a long time. Someone that can throw the deep ball. I mean, yeah, he throws a very good deep ball, which is, I mean, exciting to see. But I mean, he's still a redshirt freshman quarterback, stepping into the Big Ten conference and everything. Some of the kind of unknown guys that have been making a little bit of noise for the Gophers has been redshirt freshman Jalen Smith at wide receiver. It was actually a three-star recruit coming out of high school from Mankato West. Mankato West always kind of had a reputation of we're just going to run through your face type of offense. So, maybe he wasn't as highly recruited just because he was in a run first offense in high school and everything. Sounds like he's going to be making a very good statement right now to earn some big time game reps, which is very exciting to hear. I heard Tony Lieber say he reminds him of Daniel Jackson in a way, which is very cool to hear. Jackson was very explosive, had a good career for the Gophers.
Just had absolutely good hands. Some of the best catches you'll see. I still remember the clip of him routing up that dude from Nebraska. One of the filthiest routes I've ever seen.
Uh-huh. And the toe drag on that catch too, though.
He had another insane catch against Michigan, so hopefully I would definitely not say no to another Daniel
Yeah,
Jackson.
then obviously the Gophers brought in a couple of transfers. Logan Loya and Tyson Chapman out of Nebraska. We'll see the Gophers doing that out wide anyways. So, and run game, it'll be led by Darius Taylor. Big question on the offense is the O-line, obviously. Not much experience there. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we've seen Fleck be successful with those experienced offensive linemen, 2019 being a key example. He had an experienced offensive line, and the results spoke for themselves. I'm excited to see Drake Lindsay throw the deep ball more. You've mentioned it a lot. Like, can't recall a Gopher who had a good deep ball, like a great deep ball. And if you're going to run the ball as much as the Gophers love to do, and PJ Fleck loves to run the football, having the deep ball is going to be an elite weapon to have. They're going to sell it so much for that run that leaves a great opportunity for the deep balls.
Yeah, defensively, I heard a lot about Matt Kingsbury the other night. He was kind of low on the depth chart right now as a linebacker. From Ryan Burns and Tony Lieber, he was flying around making a lot of plays the other night. Someone that could be stepping into a role like a Cody Lindenberg. I feel like, develops and just turns into a really good player. I actually hung out with Matt a few times, so I'm trying to hide my bias away from him. Super, super cool guy, but cool to see how he's developing in there. Lower rated kid coming out of high school. Defensive line going to be anchored by Anthony Smith, obviously. Jackson Howard will be there. He's a highly touted recruit coming out of high school. Sounds like true freshman Emmanuel Carmel coming out of Robbinsdale Cooper is vying for a starting spot as well at linebacker, which would be very cool to see a true freshman come in and do that. Doesn't seem like the Gophers have true freshmen that step up very often, but when they do, they usually turn into a pretty special player.
Yeah, for sure. And you saw last year just the importance of having those true freshmen. Hopefully, you can see them step up. Like, if you're going to have true freshmen step up, you're going to be in it for a great time. And I think it's interesting too, is like mentioned all the guys who did very well for the fall camp so far. Mankato, Esco, Robbinsdale Cooper, Jackson Howard, also from the cities. Like you get all these Minnesota kids stepping up big for the Gophers, and I think that's going to be an even bigger draw, not only in recruiting, but to the fan base to come and watch those games.
Yeah, I would agree. It sounds like the other night at TCF or Huntington Bank Stadium, excuse me. So he's calling it TCL. I'll call it the bank. But it sounds like there was a good crowd turnout there the other night. I'm excited. Gopher football's back. I'm gonna have to wait a little longer to see them, a little longer than the Vikings. But from what we had lost, this past year, sounds like we're making great strides. And Fleck really went out in the portal hard this year, which I like. And didn't lose a whole lot either. So lots of developing going on there.
Yeah, I think the Gophers have the opportunity to surprise a few teams across the nation this year, and hopefully they can have a really good year.
Mm. Transitioning from Gopher football, something I guess hard, hard knocks. Going to be featuring the Buffalo Bills this season, and Hard Knocks is a very good show. It actually comes out tonight, an opening episode for this season, which this episode will be released later this Tuesday, but it'll be released on this Tuesday night, the first episode with the Buffalo Bills, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of Sean McDermott and what he's doing over there in Buffalo.
For sure. I love Hard Knocks and I love getting that inside look into some of them. It's you get some great moments of it. You got Aiden Hutchinson selling Billie Jean. I remember the Browns having one of the best talent shows. Get a good laugh, and it's like plus you get to hear a bunch of cool stories about guys you probably never really heard of. I remember Malcolm Rodriguez for the Lions, Rodrigo. I mean, it's cool seeing the stories on some of these guys that they choose to feature.
And part of the reason I'm excited about McDermott is, he's a big fan of wrestlers. The Bills at that time did sign Gable Stevenson. He ended up getting released, but getting to kind of see how he goes about coaching. He's helped turn Buffalo around, so to see how he goes about things there, and see Josh Allen kind of behind the scenes as well. Obviously, he's had a large impact in turning that franchise around. Looking forward to hearing those conversations. Like the typical fan doesn't get to hear behind the scenes, but a coach thinks a player needs to really improve on, stuff like that. I've been in those conversations before with college coaches, and I will say you go into it, scared, but you go into it confident too, then they really kind of break everything down for you. If you go in there and ask for the truth, they're going to give you the truth, and that's just the reality of it in college and professional sports. So
No, I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic that we get to see the James Cook hold in from inside that training camp. He doesn't say too much, so it's not a lot of media have been a lot of answers, but I think it'll be interesting dynamic to see from the inside of that Bills camp because you saw it a little bit when the Hard Knocks did their off season with the Giants. You got to see a Saquon Barkley contract negotiation and how badly that turned out for them.
mhm.
I mean, there's a reason the off-season one didn't come back for this year. I can't imagine any team wanting to be a part of that. I don't know. I love Hard Knocks and I love watching Hard Knocks and it's cool. I'm excited for it to come out. I hope we can do weekly reviews of it. I think that will be fun to talk about and t talk about all the guys they spotlight.
And transitioning from football to golf here, you and I recently watched Happy Gilmore 2, and let's get an honest movie review out of both of us. For a sequel, wasn't bad. I'll say it was not a bad movie for a sequel. Happy Gilmore 1, I mean, in my opinion, still one of the greatest movies of all time. But Happy Gilmore 2, not bad.
It's depending what you wanted out of it. If you're wanting to watch like an actual movie, not seeing like the context of Happy Gilmore, I don't think you would enjoy it if I'm being 100% honest. But if you liked Happy Gilmore, you'll like Happy Gilmore too. It's fun. It's a lot of people having fun. I think there was parts that took me out of it.
Mhm.
I definitely am glad I knew the context of Happy Gilmore before going into it, and you definitely have to know that context going in.
Yeah, and you also have to kind of know the context around professional golf at the time was filmed too. I feel like, with all that kind of happened there, and not gonna try to spoil it, but you should look up some context there with people getting arrested. And in my opinion, because I knew the context behind that, that was one of the funniest parts of the movie.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of funny bits into that movie. If you just want to have like a 90-minute good time, I think I highly recommend it. I could have done without the maxi golf if I'm being 100% honest. Like,
I would agree.
I don't know, but I'm glad to see like the golfers, to see like the funny sides of those golfers, see the
Hmm.
personality of them. And like Travis Kelsey. He wasn't Travis Kelsey though, so I thought that was interesting. I like got to see that cameo, a few other cameos of people I recognized.
It was decent. I tried the maxi golf swing yesterday on the golf course. I actually played pretty well yesterday, I will be honest. I just struggled. I struggled on the putting greens, to be completely honest. But kind of got it figured out, kind of not. Anyways, I ended up taking two shots in the one hole. There's a cabin to the right of the fairway, and went about 4 feet from this chick.
You know what? If he didn't, it's a win as long as he didn't do any property damage.
I apologize. I didn't hit him, but the guy said he wanted me to hit him so they could get a free night at the resort they were staying at. I said no, 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 no. Thankfully, my first shot was way better than that off the tee.
As long as you don't break any windows, don't do any damage, it's a successful golf outing.
Yeah. Moving forward here, so it's about that time, huh?
Yeah, I think are we gonna crown him?
I think so. We talked about him earlier in the episode. Go to Marshall, Minnesota. my local legend for the week, Trey Lance, Hall of Fame game here recently, and went 13 to 20, two touchdowns, 120 yards passing, three carries for 8 yards. Shout out to Trey Lance, Marshall, Minnesota kid, went to NDSU actually, not the Gophers like we would have wanted, but there's some logistics there that we're not going to get into on this episode. Some of the behind the scenes stuff I kind of heard about. But shout out Trey Lance, making a case for, making a roster out, making the Chargers roster and being QB2 there out in LA with Harbaugh and backing up Justin Herbert. Really impressive the other night, threw some really good balls from the highlights I've seen. Was getting through his progressions well from what I'm hearing, and good showing by Mr. Lance.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how far he's fallen and like nobody really considers him all that much of a bust. The 49ers traded 3 first-round picks to go up to number 3 to draft him, and he just didn't pan out and lost his job to a 7th round pick, like the last pick in the NFL draft, who just got paid a butt ton of money from the 49ers. And I think 49ers maybe would have preferred that to be Trey Lance, but I don't think they're too heartbroken about that. They got an asset back, traded him to the Cowboys, and he's just kind of bounced around. And hopefully he can make a comeback, make a revival. But here's my question. Did Carson Wentz have a better career than Trey Lance?
Ooh, that is a very good conversation. If we wanted a real answer, I think we'd have to get Randy Hedberg on here, to be completely honest. He was the QB coach at NDSU at the time. I mean, one of the nicest guys on the planet, by the way. I don't think he'd give us a straight answer, but you could probably get a feeling for that. Because NDSU had a line there where streak there where they had four very good quarterbacks. Well, even five now with Cam Miller that all made a name for themselves. Brock Jensen, Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, Trey Lance, now Cam Miller, obviously. But back to your question, was he better than Wentz?
At
You
the
know,
NFL level, at the NFL
oh, at
level.
the NFL level, I'm gonna give it to Wentz here. Because that season he ended up tearing his ACL. He was playing like an MVP that season, and I will say it. And obviously, that season's kind of remembered for Nick Foles coming in and leading the charge and winning the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz, I mean, he was playing at an MVP level at the time. Ever since he got hurt, I mean, he's just kind of bounced around the league. Trade's tough to tell as well. 'Cause he got hurt his rookie year, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So, I mean, that injury affected him as well. So, that could have changed the way he played as well, just like Wentz. No, that's a really good question. What do you think?
I would probably have to give it to Wentz. I think he not only has longevity, I think his peak was higher. His best season, that 2017 season, has been better than anything Trey Lance has put on. And yeah, he had a legitimate argument to win MVP that year before he tears his ACL. And then the Vikings run into Nick Foles in the NFC Championship game, and it got ugly from there for the Vikings. But then Nick Foles wins it, and Carson Wentz just kind of bounces around the league a little bit, never fully gets back to that form.
Which and that's not really unfortunate because we've seen that with a few guys now, like Teddy Bridgewater, for example. Going into his third season, I remember it was going to be the inaugural season at US Bank. The year before he had finished strong, seemed like he was turning the corner after the Vikings unfortunately lost the Seahawks in the wild card round that year next to Blair Walsh. And yeah, the Teddy Bridgewater, yeah, obviously, ended up having a horrific knee injury that year in fall camp.
Because I know they trade for Sam Bradford like the week before the season starts, so then they don't start him week 1, let him get a little acclimated to the offense, and then he's the starter from there on out for the rest of the year.
Sounded like, that year Teddy Bridgewater was really turning the corner and going to be a legit starting quarterback. And he was just never the same after that. And he didn't really get a shot with the Vikings, unfortunately, either, because he missed that entire year. Then next year, a guy named Case Keenum comes in, sets the world on fire. And, the Vikings were just kind of, all right, we're moving on. And ended up signing Kirko. And I guess the rest is history. Teddy's just been, he kind of bounced around. He just got signed by the Buccaneers here recently.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big what ifs of my lifetime is when it pertains to the Vikings is what happens if Teddy stays healthy that year. Because
Mhm.
he had just gone 11-5 the year before. Really good, like maybe not like an elite quarterback, but he's going to take that year 3 step,
Uh-huh.
maybe take the step into the elite quarterback. And he just, one of the freakiest injuries of all time, like his
Uh-huh.
non-contact drop back injury. And he doesn't come back till the next October.
Right. When you're the Vikings, you can't really put them in again that because you have Case Keenum, who's lighting the world on fire. One of the biggest what ifs.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe he doesn't lead us to a 2017 NFC Championship game. You never know.
Mhm.
But I would have also liked to have kept that 2017 first round pick that we had to give to the Eagles for Sam Bradford.
Mhm.
So our pick, we were pick 14. They took Derek Barnett. The next three picks, though, I think would have been interesting. Could have had either Malik Hooker, Marlon Humphreys, or Jonathan Allen. And I would like to know how either of them would have done for the Vikings in that 2017 year and beyond, because they'd probably still be on the team.
I would agree. Of course, there's Jabril Peppers, OJ Howard, David Njoku, who's an all-pro tight end. I mean, we weren't tight end needy at the time. And then you see a guy like TJ Watt taken at 30. Let's just say he's been pretty good, number 30 overall pick.
Yeah, for sure. Even Tre'Davious White would have been a really big asset for the Vikings
Hmm.
right now, but you never know who they would have taken and how many picks they could have saved drafting a guy like a Tre'Davious White or the next corners.
Hmm. I think it's about time we wrap it up here and we send you guys on your way. You ain't gonna go home, but you ain't gonna stay here.
Hey,
I think
Dalton,
it's up.
what happens if they're listening in their home right now?
Kudos to you then. You can stay right where you are. Maybe you're on the crapper, maybe you're in the car. I got a long car ride coming up next week. Maybe I'll tune in myself. But thank you guys for tuning in. Have a blessed week here and night and everything else that goes with it. Peace.